In this video I'll be reviewing every LEGO Pokémon product set to release in a few weeks on Pokémon Day, including the offers, all kindly sent to me by LEGO for this review. As a lifelong Pokémon fan, all the way back to Gen 1's Pokémon Red for the Game Boy, I have many thoughts about this, and I will not hold back, so let's get to it. The LEGO Pokémon Eevee is so far the smallest retail product fans will be able to grab, and while it still packs the black boring box all LEGO 18+ products have these days, the nice thing about it is the top left corner of the box with the Pokémon name, an icon for its normal type, and the Pokédex number, something that stays consistent if we compare it to the other two sets. The building instructions, however, keep things a little more interesting with a few spreads of pages about all of the evolutions, the LEGO models, but my favorites are the introductory pages with the LEGO model bio with its facts, the Pokédex entry, but most importantly the Pokédex entry screen as seen in Pokémon Yellow. How's that for nostalgia? As for the model itself, it's surprising how fluffy it seems given the fact that it was done out of LEGO plastic bricks, right? Especially the tail area with all of the different types of slopes, wedge, tiles and detail pieces. The dark gray joint pieces are a bit of an eyesore, but they do allow for the tail to be moved sideways or up and down if you rotate it 90 degrees. The legs move back and forward only, and the little paws have a joint too, which does allow for some slightly different poses. The toes can be seen on the very minimal printed pieces too, which I am happy to report will be standard for all of the regular retail release products. No stickers in sight. The mane had to be featured, of course, with some odd shapes to allow the front legs to be moved all the way to the front, and last but not least, the head. The shape is very clean, way too clean even, but with the 4 printed pieces it includes, does let the face come across very clearly. A bit of fur above is represented by some LEGO cheese slopes, and the ears connected on click hinges do allow for some different poses if you'd like. This entire assembly is resting on a ball joint, which in my case is too weak to support the weight of it all since it tends to fall. Not too sure if intended for it to be this way or if I just got a bad batch of pieces, but given how little room there is below it to pose, I guess this is fine. Knowing how LEGO usually treats their fandoms, I was expecting Easter eggs in some of these sets, and Eevee did not disappoint in that regard. During the build of the tail, there's 3 colors that are clearly standing out, blue, orange and yellow, which are a direct reference to its Gen 1 evolutions, Vaporeon, Flareon and Jolteon, which is kinda awesome. But the head goes even further with this by including 8 different color tiles, all referencing all of Eevee's evolutions, Vaporeon, Jolteon, Flareon, Sylveon, Espeon, Umbreon, Leafeon and Glaceon. How cool is that? As someone who enjoys both Pokemon and good LEGO builds, this thing has both. Great building techniques overall, but not too big of a set that would prove to be too challenging or overwhelming for first-time consumers, which the whole lineup will surely attract a lot of over time. At 587 pieces and a retail price of $60, considering the IP partnership and the fact that it includes all prints and no stickers, I am thoroughly impressed not seeing this being priced higher given how pricing trends for LEGO products are these days. With that being said, and with the fact that the model is cute, a fan favorite, this plays really well and is relatively affordable, especially when compared to the much bigger companions, this will be an extremely popular and sought after product, and my overall favorite of the first wave of releases. Here's hoping that LEGO manages to do all of the evolutions too in the future. With Pikachu basically being the face of the Pokémon company, it was obviously turned into a LEGO set, and while there's a lot going on for it, not all of it is amazing. The corner on the box with its type and Pokédex number are cool though, and so is all of the extra info included in the building instructions, with my absolute favorite still being the references to the original Gen 1 game stills of Pokémon Yellow, Red and Blue. This set comes with Pikachu, of course, a Pokéball, and this base shaped like a lightning, with blue lightning effect pieces all around, onto which Pikachu connects like so to make it look like he's been released out of his Pokéball. The Pokéball is a fairly straightforward build with lots of studs not on top techniques to achieve the seemingly round shape, though honestly I've seen LEGO doing better before. But its shortcomings have to do with the fact that middle black stripe of color needed to be included, as well as the necessary internals for the option to keep it closed if you'd like by replacing the connector piece inside. The decorated tile at the front is one of the set's printed pieces. Pikachu looks way bigger in person than it does on the box, and removing it from the stand and placing Eevee next to it may help understand its scale. The arms stretched out for the jumping pose don't quite make sense when having him laying flat on a surface, the reason why they can be folded down like this. And if on the stand the tail can be loose as it will stick to the position where it should stay, when you have him like this, not so much, so the building book tells you to reposition this piece so the tail can be straight up. But if you do it, Pikachu will lose its balance and fall back. The best LEGO could think of to solve this was sticking this assembly in the same spot as you connect it to the stand, which I don't like at all. And in doing all of this, Pikachu will be weirdly looking up because it was designed with the stand in mind. I'll be the first to admit that building Pikachu was extremely enjoyable. The building techniques have been some of the best I've seen out of 2026 LEGO releases. The slight tilt of the legs going outwards or the connections and ways things are done on the head were mind-blowing, like the way the cheeks stay in place or how perfectly the decorated minifigure shield pieces with the eye prints stay flat on the curved surface behind it. Brilliant, really. And with the mouth, nose prints and adjustable ears, the character can be really expressive, but there's just something off about it. I'll be completely honest, the first time I saw images of the model, I was not convinced. The shapes around the mouth aren't clean, this feels to me to be sticking out way too much, and a somewhat simple rebuild of this assembly, putting this a plate lower, makes it look a little bit more cohesive, in my opinion. The whole thing looks lively and all, especially when placed on this stand, but that directly impacted the design direction for this model, and I am not impressed. A regular standing pose like my Pikachu amiibo would have been much nicer to display, possibly making this looking up option look less weird, and that in turn would have made the set a lot more affordable than it is due to the fact of rendering the base unnecessary. At 2,050 pieces, the set will retail for $200, which is more than fair when you look at the amount of pieces, IP license, new pieces, and prints. But considering how the base takes about almost 40% of the total amount of pieces the set has, 6 numbered bags out of the 16 total this includes, getting a LEGO set of Pikachu and the Pokéball as an extra for around $120 to $130 would have been a lot nicer to digest, especially when the end result isn't, at least to me, perfect. I do like the option of doing the female variant of Pikachu by replacing the tip of the tail, and this was really cool to put together. I'm just not loving how it looks when it's done, and the fact that the display base is completely unnecessary. Do let me know in the comments if I'm being too harsh though. Now, this review would not be complete without the massive $650 set. Yes, insane pricing, but then again completely justifiable considering the IP license, piece count, prints over stickers, and even the foil pieces of Charizard's wings, so let's get that out of the way. The LEGO Venusaur, Charizard and Blastoise set is a literal dream come true, including my favorite Stage 2 starter standing tall against the other two, with a lot going on for it. Some really good stuff, and some other not so much, so let's talk about it. As you open the gigantic box, you'll be greeted with a flap containing 3 colored Pokeballs referencing the main types of the Pokemon inside, and going further, 3 individual boxes with standard looking colors for the Pokeball this time around. Each are numbered 1, 2, 3, and on their backs, icons of the Pokemon types you'll find inside. Grass and Poison for Venusaur, Fire and Flying for Charizard, and Water for Blastoise. Each of the boxes will contain the individual bags of pieces for each of the Pokémon and their bases, as well as a set of instructions that, like the ones from Pikachu and Eevee, follow the same style overall. Bits of pieces of information about Pokémon, Pokémon games, the LEGO models, and most importantly, the Pokémon bios, including the screen grabs from the Generation 1 of Game Boy games. The size of this thing really is massive, and it's incredible how tiny Eevee and Pikachu look next to it. As stated, each of the boxes contain the pieces for each of the Pokémon and their bases, which can easily come apart like so, just sliding out of place. So let's start with Venusaur. He comes off of his base like this, revealing a very simple looking build underneath with a bunch of scattered plants and flowers of different sizes, including 3 of these big ones, that would totally pass as something out of the botanical range of LEGO products. Besides that, the brown shapes on the base kinda look like roots coming out of these 4 tree stumps, I wanna say, where all of the Venusaur's feet will be placed afterwards. Venusaur himself is perhaps the biggest LEGO Pokémon build so far, and given how much bigger his individual box was when compared to the other 2, that won't be hard to believe. His color scheme with the azure shade of LEGO pieces for the body is very eye-catching, topped off by the greenery of his flower, a bit of nougat for the trunk, and all of the magenta petals above. As opposed to Pikachu, this one isn't relying on the display base and actually looks great as a standalone build. The area around the eyes isn't super clean, but overall I really don't have a lot of complaints about him. I think his body proportions were done well in LEGO, the face build used a lot of clever building techniques, as did the back legs, and I thoroughly enjoyed putting him together. The vines were a bit hard to figure out, but you can kinda place them however you see fit, I guess, and the green leaves can be adjusted due to the ball joints used to connect them to the body. The head is locked into position, so is the jaw, so don't go expecting much out of it. But the feet and legs have some movement, so they can be placed on its respective base without stressing the elements. Next up, there's Blastoise that can be taken out of its base just as easily as Venusaur. There is a lot more going on here as far as parts used go in comparison to the previous base, with the splashing waves against the rocks kind of scene. The effect with the canopy pieces, usually used for LEGO vehicles, was very smartly done here, as were the tiny offsets of the pieces underneath, so that you can just place these down perfectly where they need to go, instead of doing some guesswork if this was done without the stops. Beyond that, there's just the dark blue sea, some land here where this is supposed to connect with the other base, and the places where Blastoise's feet go are weirdly colored, but since you'll probably be displaying these with Blastoise on top most of the time, that's a non-problem, I guess. The Pokemon looks really good by itself, and even though Charizard will always be my favorite out of these 3, I think Blastoise, when it comes down to the building experience, is my top pick here. The shaping of the shell part of his body looks really good, both front and back, especially in the back with how the different sections come together at odd angles. His cannons come with splashing water effect pieces, which I'm happy to take down for a cleaner look. The legs support him well without the need for extra bits, and it kinda works on 2 different positions if you'd like. It is a shame to see the arms locked into position with no ability to at least rotate them, though by the elbow area there is a joint. This time around I do like the head design quite a bit, and I have never seen the way some of these shapes were achieved with the bricks. The early stages of the build were also incredible and gave this Pokemon the base for all of the angled sections that followed after, so in all of my years of LEGO, this was peak building experience time. If you look at it from the sides, it is a bit rough, with some of the gaps around the arms and legs, and while handling the model, the back claw pieces of the feet keep falling off. Other than that, the guy looks really good. Now, last but not least, comes my boy Charizard, with the worst looking base, I'm afraid. As a standalone object, I mean. If you were to take Venusaur's or Blastoise's out and display them like this, it actually looks like a solid display piece, right? Charizard's Tower of Lava by itself, not so much, due to the technique supports that help it align with the other bases. The newer shade of darker orange for the flowing lava pieces is great to see though, as it helps to differentiate from the classic LEGO orange Charizard has. The rock formation where the lava sits is nothing to write home about, as it is heavily reliant on the other two to look somewhat good. Charizard, however, is the highlight here, and in comparison, the closest thing we have to a playset when it comes to all of the LEGO Pokémon so far, due to the amount of movable parts it has. The legs and feet can be adjusted, same goes for the arms and wrists, the tail has a lot of sections for a curved look, and there is some different degrees at which the wings can be opened, than with a thicker type of material when compared to some LEGO minifigure cape elements LEGO fans will be familiar with printed details on the front with the teal color and full orange on the back. I am not crazy about the head design, but it does its job well considering how little room there is to work on it, while maintaining the same scale to that of the other two, while not resorting to new elements to give it shape. Like Pikachu, I am somewhat bothered by the fact that Charizard was designed with this stand in mind, as that's the only way you can have him with a straight face. By itself, when he's in his normal standing position, his face can only be tilted up and won't go lower than this. But despite all of that and the minor nitpicks that I have about each of these three Pokémon, I do think this set does them justice, and any real fans who get them will be thrilled. I know I am. Now, the big elephant in the room is, of course, the price, and while justified given the amount of LEGO you get out of it, is still a lot of money to spend, especially when it could have been 30 to 40% cheaper. Why? I will once again default to the arguments I stated with Pikachu's review. People, myself included, want the Pokémon, and as nice as the base may look to display them, it creates an issue where people may not have enough room to have it out like this. On top of that, out of the 65 building bags required to complete this set in full, 23 of them were used on the base, a rough estimate of about 2,500 pieces. Not a whole lot of LEGO sets have such a piece count, yet the extra parts of one top them. If we were to completely remove the base out of this set, the price point of $650 could have come down to around $450. Still a lot, don't get me wrong, but a lot nicer to the wallet, right? How many of you would probably be interested in this if that were the case? Imagine being able to get all three sets for the price of one if there were no bases around. I like it a lot. It's just that I'm always trying to find ways how LEGO could price down their products, and looking at this, that becomes obvious very quickly. Probably the reason I like Eevee so much and is my favorite of the lineup so far. If these didn't have the bases, I would probably struggle to pick one, as the build was extremely enjoyable with the Pokémon. Now, Pokémon Day is just a few weeks away, and if you do decide to buy the trio of Pokémon, you'll be gifted the LEGO Pokémon Kanto Region Badge Collection gift with purchase set, because even though its allocations did indeed sold out for the product's pre-release in January, LEGO has confirmed more will be available on official release date. Judging by how quickly they sold out last time, I guess the same is to be expected this time around. Nothing too special with its building instructions, and the set is literally just a box with the Kanto Region badges made out of LEGO. The blue design with the darker stripes is kinda nice, the brick-built Pokéball at the front for the latch is a nice touch too, and the big glass window elements allow you to see all 8 pieces of the collection. The box does open with simple hinges, and inside, as expected, you'll find the Boulder, Cascade, Thunder, Rainbow, Soul, March, Volcano, and Earth badges. Contrary to the regular retail products, this one does have stickers for some of the decorations, which is to be expected out of such a product, and you can take these out if you'd like, which ends up revealing all of the different connection points at the back for the badges to line up with one another. I'll be honest, I really don't get the appeal with this one, to the point of driving scalpers to ask for ridiculous prices on it in the aftermarket. But I guess this is a limited run product, and Pokemon fans are known to be big spenders on exclusive items, so I think this fits the criteria. If you do get one, I guess you could sell it to knock down the hefty price of the trio set, but as it stands, I don't feel it's worth going out of your way to try and get these from a LEGO fan point of view. I do find the Insider's reward set, the LEGO Mini Poké Center, a lot more interesting though. For the non-LEGO fans watching this, you'll need to spend LEGO Insider's points to get this set. Creating an Insider's account is free, and when buying LEGO sets online and in brand retail stores, you start accumulating points that you can trade for gifts such as these that you can add to your shopping cart via a redemption code. In this case, it seems you'll need 2,500 points for it, and it can be redeemed together with any purchase you make on the website. The model's instructions once again do not have the special treatment the Pokémon sets have, but the model itself is actually kinda nice, based off of the model of the building from later generations of the game. The logo up there is a sticker, and there's a neat play feature where the sliding doors open like so. Turning the model around will reveal the open back style of building, making it easier to see the mini details it has, more easily accessible if you take out this part of the roof. A few seats and couches, the healing machine with 3 Pokeballs in there, also a sticker, and to the corner the computer, which this time around features a printed piece for the screen. Availability should be limited to with this one, and since you don't need to purchase Pokemon sets to be able to redeem it, as far as I'm aware, it will make it more easily accessible than the Kanto Badges, so if you want to grab one, plan accordingly. There's definitely room for improvement here, but also lots of amazing stuff too, and as a huge fan of the franchise, seeing the first ever LEGO Pokemon products in front of me makes me extremely happy and super curious to see how LEGO will handle the partnership going forward. While some of these sets are available to pre-order already, global release for these will happen on the 27th of February with all of the gifts too. So if you're planning on buying any, please use the links below for it, as that will support the channel ever so slightly. If you're new to LEGO and are considering making your first purchases, a word of advice. If you see something you like not available anymore due to the initial hype, don't go to resellers and pay scalper prices. Be patient, wait a few weeks and keep an eye out on LEGO's website, as restocks will happen. LEGO products are meant to be on shelves for a minimum of 2 years at the very least, so you don't need to worry about sets running out like Pokemon TCG products for instance. Sales will also happen with big retailers and sites like Amazon, so yeah, be patient. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.